Welcome to Simple Civics. This video will teach the American history section of the Civics Test. We will cover the majority of the questions. We recommend revisiting these videos throughout your preparation. Let's begin. What is one reason colonists came to America? Freedom. When you hear this question, think of the ships that colonists used to come to America. To help you think of the answer, imagine that the Statue of Liberty is at the front of the ship. We've been using the Statue of Liberty to represent freedom. Who lived in America before the Europeans arrived? American Indians. When the Europeans arrived, the American Indians were already here. To help you remember American Indians, think of this American flag in his hand. Name one American Indian tribe in the United States. Blackfeet. To help you remember this tribe, imagine that this American Indian is wearing black shoes for Blackfeet. There were 13 original states. Name 3. New York, North Carolina, South Carolina. When you hear this question, think back to the ship. The Statue of Liberty should make you think of New York. To help you remember North and South Carolina, imagine carolers standing on the deck, singing carols. Why did the colonists fight the British? Because of high taxes. Imagine the colonists are fighting the British by pushing off this box of high taxes. Who wrote the Declaration of Independence? Jefferson. Think back to our image of the Declaration deck. To help you remember who wrote it, imagine a Jefferson giraffe is writing the Declaration underneath the table. Jefferson giraffe's neck is so long he barely fits. When was the Declaration of Independence adopted? July 4th, 1776. The date, July 4th, should be easy to remember because we celebrate the 4th of July every year. To help you remember 1776, imagine that Jefferson Giraffe's glasses are shaped like 1776. When was the Constitution written? 1787. Think back to our image for the Constitution. To help you remember the year 1787, imagine that there's a snowman out in this field holding a cane. The snowman looks like an 8 and the cane like a 7. 87. The Federalist Papers supported the passage of the U.S. Constitution. Name one of the writers. J. When you hear this question, imagine that a blue jay passes by the Constitution. He writes a J by pooping on the paper. What is one thing Benjamin Franklin is famous for? Started the first free libraries. When you hear the word famous, imagine the paparazzi, here to take photos of the famous Benjamin Franklin. This is all happening inside a library because he started the first free libraries. Who is the father of our country? Washington. When you hear this question, think of this father. To help you remember Washington, just imagine that he's about to wash the baby. Who is the first president? Washington. Think back to this picture when you were asked about the first president. What territory did the United States buy from France in 1803? Louisiana. Imagine the United States is buying from France a Louis Vuitton bag to help you remember Louisiana. Name the U.S. war between the North and the South. The Civil War. When you hear the words North and South, think of the North and South on this compass. To help you remember the Civil War, imagine that this rim of the compass is silver for Civil War. Name one war fought by the United States in the 1800s. Civil War. To help you remember that the Civil War was fought in the 1800s, imagine that the arrow in the middle looks like an 8 for 1800s. Name one problem that led to the Civil War. Slavery. Imagine that this Civil War silver compass is being held up by a slave. What group of people was taken to America and sold as slaves? Africans. This is a basic question and answer for which we won't make a specific image, but you can think back to this picture. What was one important thing that Abraham Lincoln did? Freed the slaves. When you hear Abraham Lincoln, think about the links on this slave's leg. The links are not tied down, to help you remember that Lincoln freed the slaves. Name one war fought by the United States in the 1900s. World War I. You can think of this picture of one soldier for World War I. Who was president during World War I? Woodrow Wilson. To help you remember Woodrow Wilson, think back to this image. There is a row of wood, or woodrow, in the back to help protect this soldier. Who was president during the Great Depression and World War II? Roosevelt. World War II was largely fought in the air, so when you hear World War II, think of this plane about to bomb this rose bush to help you remember Roosevelt. Before he was president, Eisenhower was a general. What war was he in? World War II. To help you remember Eisenhower was a general in World War II, imagine that these Eisenhower are keeping their eyes on the plains of World War II. During the Cold War, what was the main concern of the United States? Communism. When you hear Cold War, think of this really cold person. To help you remember communism, imagine that this cold person is hiding in a communication booth to stay warm. What did Martin Luther King Jr. do? Fought for civil rights. When you hear this question, think of Martin Luther King Jr. To help you remember the answer, civil rights. Imagine that he's wearing a civil silver watch on his right wrist for civil rights. To help you remember the word fought, imagine Dr. King has boxer's gloves draped around his neck. What movement tried to end racial discrimination? Civil rights. Think back to this image and remember the silver watch on the right wrist. Civil rights. What did Susan B. Anthony do? Fought for women's rights. When you hear this question, think of a B for Susan B. Anthony. To help you remember that she fought for women's rights, think of this woman who has a pair of fighting gloves around her neck. What major event happened on September 11th, 2001 in the United States? Terrorists attacked the United States. Think of the Twin Towers, which look like the 11 in September 11th. To help you think of the exact phrase, think of attack causing a terrorist tear on the side of the building. To help you remember the United States, we will place a flag at the ground level of the buildings. So, attack the United States. Terrorists attacked the United States.